Welcome to the Two Grumpy Bastards podcast, where feelings aren't felt and snowflakes melt. Buckle up, it's gonna be a bumpy ride.
These confines with a monarch's voice cry havoc! Let slip the dogs of war. To my city steps. You insult my queen. You threaten my people with slavery and death. Oh, I've chosen my words carefully, Persian. Perhaps you should have done the same. This is blasphemy. This is madness. Madness. This is Sparta!
They painted over ants.
Hit the road,
Jeez,
Jack.
you got a big pussy.
Don't you come back
Jeez, you got a
no
big
more,
pussy.
no more. Hit the road, Jack. And don't you come back no more.
What you say?
Jeez, you got a big
Jack.
pussy.
Don't
Jeez, you got a
come
big
back
pussy.
no more. Hit the road, Jack. And don't you come back no more.
Oh woman, don't treat me so mean. You're the meanest old woman that I've ever seen. I guess if you say so, I'll have to pack my things and go.
That's right, hit the road, Jack. And don't you come back no more. Hit the road, Jack. And don't you come back no more.
Who were on the phone listening to the president talk about this swap of dirt for U.S. military aid.
Chris, so far, the evidence is uncontradicted that the president used taxpayer dollars to ask the Ukrainians to help him cheat an election. And the complaint that I've heard from Republicans all last week was that you don't have anyone who heard the call.
Have you seen that video at the end there? It's pretty legendary about him farting on camera.
I remember that. That I believe was during a committee hearing.
Yeah, it's something like that. But yeah, when he was talking to what's his name, Chris Matthews.
When he was talking, I did not know he did it. He's done it a couple
Yeah,
times.
you can hear it like about 10 seconds before the end, and he's like,
I
I
just
just
dubbed that in.
no, that was real. That's why I dubbed it in earlier as a foreshadowing. But he denied it vociferously, and he came out with a denial before it became kind of a thing. So he did it.
Well, yeah. There's actually, for those who out there in podcast land who don't know what we're talking about Eric Swalwell and the allegations of sexual assault and rape, maybe possibly, allegations of rape that are being leveled at him.
Mm-hmm.
He's just a true joy, a peach. But I see this in two tracks. The first is the obvious. He's a predator. He talks a good game, but I mean, aside from fucking Chinese spies, he's also trying to fuck anything that moves, and apparently he's so grotesque at it that even liberal women don't want him. Now, in fairness, liberal women tend to actually want conservative men. They tolerate liberal men because liberal men will do what they want, but when it comes to getting physical, they seem to prefer conservative men.
You remember what we were talking about just before we got on?
I do.
About my personal life.
Yes.
When I was younger. Yeah. I just quickly interrupt you. My perception, and I think I'm correct because I've actually had some people corroborate this. Friends of mine that lean to the left, female and stuff like that. It's that old joke. Does Barbie come with Ken? No, honey, but she comes with G.I. Joe.
Yeah.
It's kind of like the same thing. Ken's in your life, but you want that G.I. Joe figure. Every woman, I don't care. I will never date a conservative man. God, that must be horrible, having everything taken care of for you and having somebody open your doors. And, if somebody comes up to you and calls you a fat bitch, that he could knock the guy. Must be horrible to know that he can defend you and your family. And,
well, it's like I saw on another podcast once. The guy said, hey, if a guy came up and threatened you with a gun, in the first scenario, your husband stands in front of you, and the second scenario, your husband hides behind you. Which scenario you're more attracted to him under? And the one was like, well, that's not really fair. Like, but is it true? They do tend to prefer the more manly men for for reproduction and copulatory rights, if I'm going to put it like that.
Right.
But they like the liberal cucks because they can run them. They can take the ring out of their own nose, put it through the cuck's nose, and lead them around by bull rope. Um, and so a lot of the women that yeah they may have wanted Swalwell for his influence, but they didn't want Swalwell for his small little cock. So I don't really think that it was that they were into him physically.
Right.
Um, so all right, maybe there's actually three tracks on this. Okay, so there's Eric Swalwell coming out about, I don't know if you saw the interview he did with Chuck Todd a few years back where he was talking about how much moral the Democratic Party was in the Republican Party,
Yep.
which, obviously not. I mean, not, and this is not, I don't know if you saw what happened with the former Lieutenant Governor of Virginia
I
today.
did. I did.
But given his murder-suicide and Swalwell's allegations of sexual misconduct, the Democrats have some issues with their own folks. I mean, just going back to Bill Clinton, actually, Bill Clinton's the first one got caught on it. Go all the way back to JFK and earlier. I mean, FDR was screwing around on Eleanor Roosevelt. So it's nothing new in the Democrat Party. So that's track number one. Track number two is a slightly more disgusting track, which is, according to several reporters I've seen, this was more or less an open secret on Capitol Hill already.
Right.
That folks knew about it. Nancy Pelosi claiming that she had no idea just does not pass the laugh test. Because she propped up Swalwell all over the place.
There isn't anything that woman doesn't know that's going on Capitol Hill.
I
She's that deeply invested. She's that far in the swamp. Bullshit.
Yeah, and Ruben Gallegos claiming he didn't know, and even though he was really close with Swalwell, apparently Adam Schiff, Shifty Schiff, as I like to call him, he came out and endorsed Swalwell. All the reporters have said, "Well, we kind of knew this was happening." We're like, "Well, why didn't you report it?" "Oh, it wasn't my beat." Oh, that's the kind of stuff that they tried to use. But basically, they covered up because he was a Democrat. If he had been a Republican, it would have been front page news, 5 years ago, and he'd have already been gone. So the disgusting, my tribe, my power kind of folks, that's track number two. Here's track number three, and it's a little bit more devious. This was not an accident. I don't mean him doing what he did. I mean it coming out.
Right.
This was orchestrated. Now, who orchestrated it? I don't know, but it's not a coincidence that, there were two Republicans leading the jungle primary in California, Bianco and Hilton, when this stuff came out, and that the Democratic field is so fractured between Tom Steyer and Katie Porter and Eric Swalwell and a few others that, somebody needed to clear the field. And people have dirt on a bunch of folks. This is just a guess, but the person that benefits most from this is Tom Steyer.
Yeah.
He's the one that shot up at the polls. He's a billionaire. I would not be surprised if this eventually comes back to him in terms of showing who orchestrated it. I don't know that. That's just a speculation, guess on my part. But somebody wanted to narrow the field. Swalwell was probably the most high-profile Democrat and getting the most support that they could bleed numbers off of into others.
Yes.
I don't think Katie Porter or any of the others were prominent enough to do that with. Even though Katie Porter has done some things that, if you really want to look at it, could be classified as domestic abuse. Like when she dumped, I believe she dumped a thing of either mashed potatoes or potato salad on her husband.
It was mashed potatoes, and it was still hot. It was like hot off the stove. And it's understandable because if you look at how hot Katie Porter is, you would totally understand why her husband is stuck by her side. I mean, she is smoking.
Yeah.
She's smoking all right, like a fucking, like the shit barrels that were on fire in Iraq and stuff like that. Jesus, that's a grotesque woman.
Like Mimi from the Drew Carey show.
Yeah, very much so. She very much so, except she's actually really likable, that character. I liked her a lot. Yeah, there's a friend of the pod and wife of a guy that I've known most of my life. she was heavy, and they both got really heavy. They're much healthier now, but they came to one of our epic Halloween parties, and she was dressed up as Mimi.
Oh, really?
She's like, fuck it, I'm fat. Here you go. It was epic. It was epic. We all loved her even more for it. But no, that woman Porter is evil. I mean,
Oh yeah.
the way she treats people, the way she talks, even looking at the camera, and she looks like a fucking bag of soup. I mean, she's fucking disgusting. And it's like, why, who thinks people like this are going to be good at running stuff? Yes, appearances do matter. They do fucking matter,
Yeah.
everybody.
Well, you can get past appearances with temperament, but she doesn't have
Yes,
either one.
exactly. And I was
Um,
obviously being very tongue in cheek. And when I said that, she's hot, that's why the husband stays.
yeah. Well, so the support wasn't going to bleed off of her, but bleeding off of Swalwell to go to maybe Tom Steyer,
Yeah.
that's would not be out of the realm of possibility.
And Tom Steyer is a horrible human being too, by the way, everybody.
Yeah, but he's got a lot of money and he's got a lot of connections. And remember, he only has to get through. He only has to get to second place in the June 30th primary. He
Mm-hmm.
doesn't have to go get beyond that, but because you're in a state that is heavily Democrat. If a Democrat gets to the general election, the Democrat will probably win, no matter whether Steve Hilton is better for the state or not. The only chance I think Steve Hilton has is if both he and Sheriff Bianco are the top two. Now, if they end up coming out of the primary as the top two, something's going to happen where the Democrats are going to try to change the rules because the whole reason they went to the jungle primary to begin with was to eliminate Republicans from the field. They wanted just Democrats to be able to run, so they put everybody in one primary, knowing it would probably knock out any Republicans in the field, any prominent Republicans, so you wouldn't have a Democrat versus a Republican. You wouldn't have to worry about the super charismatic guy in a really crappy economic time in California. So, you could maintain Democratic permanency pretty much indefinitely at that point. But this has been such a fractured field that might not happen, and that's where I think the chance for some shenanigans, if you want to put the old man word on it, to happen with the general election could come out. Now, stuff like that could be fought in court, especially this time, but they would change the rules in some way to still benefit them, whether this election or the next one.
Yeah, and one of the things I wanted to talk about here later is it doesn't directly have to do with conspiracy theories, but tangentially it does. And I really gave it some serious thought since this came out. And Schadenfreude, like I've said many times on this podcast, may not be a beautiful emotion, but it's appropriate sometimes.
Oh, it feels beautiful sometimes. I know it's awful. I know God would. I've been thinking a lot about
I don't know that God. I don't know that God's mad at us for feeling Schadenfreude when an evil creature like this meets his demise.
I know God doesn't want us to feel that way, but I kind of do feel that way when it comes to this turd.
There's it's kind of funny because I listen to
I do.
I study a lot of religious academically and whatever, and I was listening to a Catholic priest that I enjoy listening to. And he talked about it was kind of funny because I do it daily, but the one that came out just coincidentally was about you don't have to pray for everybody.
Yeah.
Because some people are beyond redemption, or some things like Satan, for instance, or demons. You don't pray for them because they made their choice, and that's locked in. You may want to, it'd be like, oh, that'd be nice, with some of these movies where Satan sees the light and he's like, I'm sorry, but. I thought about that with some of these people, and who do I feel that way about? Not a lot of people. Obviously, you can think about like this son of a bitch who got I can't remember his name, that stabbed that poor Ukrainian woman on the train, and he got
the stabbed Irina Zarutska. I don't remember the turd's name that had like 14 prior arrests.
14 priors and 14 times in front of a judge, but this time he can't stand trial. He's not mentally competent. I don't know that I'm going to waste a prayer for that fucking guy. I just don't think I am. And the Stalins of the world, people like that, nope. The Venezuelan dictator that's sitting hot and heavy in one of our federal prisons right now. Yeah, he's responsible for probably 10,000 deaths. I think I'm okay not praying for him. I hate to say this, but Swalwell's one of those people. I sensed it. I felt it. You know that I have. I mean, a lot of people have, but there was something just fucking wrong with him. And I did an assessment. I really did. I sat down and said, I don't want to say this unless I really believe it's true. So I'll have some facts and figures next time, but anecdotally, I'll just say this, that this level of corruption and cover up is really very, very much a child of the left. When you look at this kind of thing, I mean, I'll probably die tomorrow for saying this, but just the vast amount of information about the Clintons from when he was governor all the way through. The Trooper Gate, and folks, go back and look at this stuff. Both he and Hillary were the most corrupt people that were close to him that knew stuff, ended up committing suicide. A lot of suicides in that bunch. Kind of funny that the national suicide rate is less than 0.5%, but hey, you get all these people committing suicide that know him. All the way back to what was the hell was the name of the vice presidential candidate when Al Gore, his little buddy?
Joe Lieberman.
Wait a minute. Who am I thinking of? It's not Joe Lieberman. It was
Al Gore?
Yeah. Was it Joe Lieberman? Was Al Gore's?
Yeah.
What was that?
Maybe you might be thinking about John Kerry and John Edwards.
John Edwards. You are right.
He was the guy for John Kerry.
Yeah. He was very Swalwell, like he was a married guy. Very Swalwell. And we didn't hear 98% of it because back then, that stuff wasn't really discussed. Just like Hollywood was, all the big stars had. Oh my God, we're terrible. I mean, watch any documentary, watch any of these movies about the dark side of Hollywood. The Black
Dahlia. There was a story on Fox News today about the boy bands and how they were abused by the music industry in Hollywood. Joey
Fatone was on Corolla, and he helped do the documentary that just came out. So I'm actually going to watch that because I find that stuff. I'm not a big Hollywood guy, but that stuff I find interesting. But
I read an interview with Lance Bass.
Did you?
Bass.
Yeah. Oh, we didn't know he was gay, right? But I think about the sheer amount of this, and it's funny because the Democrats, the left is doing what the left always does. They externalize, and they do that, and they try to make Trump the most immoral, sinful man that's ever lived, horrible human being. Oh, he's a pedophile. It's proven. Really? Who proved it? Where is it? What? I don't see it. You've got 3 women who seem to be fairly sincere about this that have come forward so far, and they've got corroborating. At least there's corroborating, I shouldn't say evidence, but there's corroborating events where they didn't just come out of this wholesale like what's-her-face did with Trump and all that kind of thing, or the Kavanaugh. All of a sudden, there's this crazy woman who, he looked at me and stuff. If you're going to do consensual sex outside your marriage, I think you're a dirtbag, but perhaps drugging and forcing yourself. And then there's these videos where he is being very, very aggressive. I've never, like that picture that I put on there with him, like kissing that woman like that. That's gross. It fucking freak.
Crosses the line.
It's a leading indicator of a very, very degenerate human being, at least, and maybe evil on top of it. But this was a guy who thought, he was lecturing. You remember when he was lecturing our guy, Shapiro?
Shapiro? I thought Shapiro took him apart.
He did take him apart. He goes, I agree with me.
Yeah.
Because he was
I'm a religious Jew. You found me out.
Yeah. And he was like, well, don't you ever get tempted by, he goes, of course I do. Of course I do. I'm a man and I have emotions and hormones, but here's the thing. I'm an Orthodox Jew. I don't let those temptations lead me astray, and it's like, the Swalwell was like, he was listening to Swahili for the first time, listening to that. I noticed that. And I'll be gosh darn, all these accusations, and I'm sitting there going, well, the F-tard on our page, the lefty F-tard that speaks like a 12-year-old or writes like a 12-year-old, said something about, well, they found out, did it. It's like, no, everybody knew about this. It was like people knew about Cosby. Everybody knew Cosby was the way he was. In Hollywood, and you're that big of a star, Weinstein.
Everybody knew about Weinstein.
And you can go, well, you're a famous actress and you knew about it. So why did you go to his hotel room under the pretenses of reading lines and stuff like that? Those are valid questions to ask, but people really don't understand that that's an industry where the power was really contained with a couple of studios back in the day. It's not like that anymore at all.
No.
And B, somebody who has been a victim often will repeat that victimhood, and it's a very, very complex thing when you're talking about people that have been victims of sexual assault. So why didn't these women come out before? Why did they come out now? I don't know the answer to that. I don't know, like you said, if there's been some cashola. I'm sure most of the up highs in the Democratic Party, but they knew this about the guy and they don't fucking care. They only care if they get caught.
Yeah.
That's it.
But,
And because I'm telling you, if there's any Republicans I knew that were like Swalwell, fly them to a parking lot near me and let me have my way with them. And then, go to jail and get cast out into the cornfield from the Republicans forever.
Well, the Republicans were, they expelled George Santos.
Right.
They primaried and got rid of Steve King. I think it was Steve King, when he made racial remarks.
That's right. I do remember that.
They're in the process of forcing the resignation or expulsion, if he doesn't resign, of Tony Gonzalez of Texas.
Right.
Now that's not to say that the Republicans are pure. There
absolutely
are some,
not. Absolutely not.
There are some turds out there. But again, I come back to, if a Republican is found out or even suspected, it leads the news. Democrats are not, because the media will protect them.
Mm-hmm.
Now, there's some good investigative reporters who find out stuff. From Mary Margaret Olahan of Daily Wire to James O'Keefe, formerly of Project Veritas.
Right.
They get this stuff out there, but even they have trouble breaking through sometimes because the cultural zeitgeist has been built around the liberal media for the last 100 years, roughly. So breaking through that cultural barrier that's a challenge. You can have James O'Keefe, showing Planned Parenthood bartering baby parts all you want, but it doesn't make an impact because the mainstream media won't pick it up. Even the stuff with Nick Shirley. Nick Shirley is a thorn in the side of the Democrats, but you ask the person on the street, nobody's ever heard of him because CBS, CNN, ABC, NBC won't talk about him. They don't even mention him. They don't even mention him. And now California is trying to make that kind of investigative journalism illegal with a $10,000 fine. I don't know how that survives a constitutional challenge.
It won't survive that at all. Yeah, I'm just going to say that. And on top of that, this poor kid got demonized by fucking the governor, Gavin Newsom. Do you remember that meme that was put out about that kid?
Yeah.
And it's like, if Gavin Newsom should have pivoted and said, wow, thank you for bringing this to our attention.
That would have required some foresight and some willingness to be less tribal on his part. He's not willing to do that.
It's a disease, man. It is. And I because it defies a lot of conventional psychiatry and psychology and thinking, it just does. I do have a little bit of education in that. I can only come to you with this. It's fucking evil. I mean, allowing Swalwell to, and then endorsing him as the governor, knowing, come on, Adam Schiff didn't know about this. Adam Schiff is one of the worst human beings that's ever lived. Swalwell is number 2 behind Schiff in the politicians that I want to take into a parking lot. He's number 2. I hate Schiff that much. And yes, I will say that as a man of faith. I despise Adam Schiff. I think he's a goddamned demon. I do.
Yeah.
And if they were ever going to open that door and pull the rug off on Adam Schiff, you're going to find the most depraved shit about him.
I'm sure.
You can feel it every time he talks. It's like there's like a sticky resonance in the air every time, and I feel like I just ate like 3 cheeseburgers. I got grease all over me and shit. So
hey, nothing wrong with cheeseburgers, dude.
I just got in a wrestling contest in Puerto Rico.
Okay, I don't understand that reference, but okay, good.
I don't either, but I just thought I'd say that because it's hot and humid there. I guess maybe not. And it's in Puerto Rico. I'd probably wouldn't have a shower. Well, I'm kidding. I'm being all Tony now.
Yeah, I'm sure that I don't know if it'll ever definitively come out, but Steyer may be the one behind this, or somebody else in the Democratic establishment who
Yeah, I don't know.
the look. In a way, it would almost be better if this is Steyer, because Steyer has a vested personal interest in becoming governor. The more horrifying is too strong a word, but um, the more scary prospect is somebody with Democratic influence just looked at the polls and said, "Well, we need to cut somebody loose," and they made a calculated decision.
I think that was it. That's where I'm going with this. I think they're a pack of orcs.
If they made a
One
if
goes
they just
down,
made a
they'll eat
calculated
them.
decision on that, that shows complete lack of principle, or even holding your own personal self interest as an excuse. That shows just cold psychopathy.
It really does. And I think now that I think about it, I'm gonna run with the orcs, the
Okay.
metaphor, because there is a good one in there, I think. But that's what the Democratic Party reminds me of. I mean, they'll eat each other as soon as one shows a weakness. And if you're contrary, like you said, if you go against the tribe, there's a healthy part of that. But as far as being tribal and being, but can you imagine not ever knowing? I mean, Swalwell acted like the world was at his fingertips and he was like the coolest, baddest ass dude on
Oh
planet Earth.
yeah, even though
You know,
he was an
doing
absolute
taking videos of him when he's benching and shit like that, and it's like, oh hey, you got 35s on there and you managed to crack that out 5 times. Congratulations,
yeah.
chicken wing motherfucker. But the just the I mean, it reminds me a lot of the shows I've been rewatching Ray Donovan, which I think is one of the best TV shows in history. I'm a big Liv Schreiber fan. He's just such a good actor, and it's so well written and so well acted. And I'm watching it, but it's like, God damn, how scary would it be to be in that group where you never can trust the person that you're supposed to trust?
Yeah.
And some of those people are related to you by blood, and it's like, well, I might know something about that, but it's the worst feeling in the world where you go, okay, I can't trust anybody. I don't trust anybody. And Swalwell, I think he like a lot of these people. I brought up when I was on the Husky Hardcore podcast one time filling in. I brought up, yeah, he's just like another Neil deGrasse Tyson, and Derek got my reference because I can't stand Neil deGrasse Tyson. That's a guy who loves his own reflection more
Oh
than
yeah.
anything in the world.
No, people, you want to find somebody who loves you like Neil deGrasse Tyson loves himself.
Oh God, yeah. I used to listen to that Starcast years and years ago, and then it just got insufferable when he started getting into politics. And he's
Yeah.
got this racist comedian Chuck Nice who's
Well,
not
and
funny.
I don't know if you ever saw him on Bill Maher. He couldn't even, world class scientist. He couldn't even define what a woman was.
I know. Yeah, Bill Maher kind of chewed him up for that one.
Yep.
I watch Bill Maher all the time now because he makes me mad still 50% of the time, but 50% of the time I'm going, fuck yeah, Bill. That's the opposite of tribal. He's like, no, this is the truth as I see it, and it pisses everybody off.
I disagree with a lot of his personal politics, but
Yeah,
he's at least principled about it. He at
he is.
least
Absolutely 100%.
he won't shift his politics based on that's my tribe. Now, I think that some of his personal politics is wrong, but some of it's absolutely right. The whole colorblind society, absolutely right. Calling out the wokeism, absolutely right. His diagnoses on why people voted for Trump, absolutely right.
Yeah, he's an interesting cat. I used to hate him, complete with enmity. But he was much more back when he was younger. He played on that smarmy, know-it-all persona a lot more than he does now. And
One
he
thing
said
that
something that really pissed me off. He said that Ronald Reagan wasn't sick; he was just fucking nuts, and that was his quote. And I actually wrote him an email saying, "If I ever see you in a fucking anywhere, just run, run." That pissed me off, and I knew, I knew Michael, rest in peace. He died recently, Michael Reagan, and
yeah.
so I was like, yeah, that's what got me to write a letter to a celebrity. You
Well,
called my hero
that's
nuts, you
that's
motherfucker.
awesome. I'll say this: in my opinion, where Marr falls short, aside from some of the politics I disagree with him on,
Sure,
is Marr doesn't acknowledge the part that he played in creating the division that we are currently experiencing. He was one
sure.
of the forefathers of that, around 99, 2000. He built that castle, and now he's, afraid to look at what he created. He wants to try to pretend it doesn't exist, that he didn't play a part in it. He absolutely played a part in it, and now he's trying to walk it back.
I understand. Yeah, no, 100%. And I don't know. I guess my main point in all this is that if you really, I know Democrats never do this, leftists won't do it. They can't see beyond their own bubble of emotion and virtue signaling, and trying to fit in with, God, look at these people you're trying to fit in with. Oh, these are just gross human beings. But I don't hate old ladies, but the old ladies that I like are like, oh, did you kill any ragheads when you were overseas?
Oh, geez.
I get that all the time. You know,
I haven't. I would probably at least say let's not use that term. But
I was quoting. I
know.
I was quoting. I didn't. I never used that.
I was saying I would probably say that to the old lady. Like let's
no.
I just that back a little bit.
I just laugh. I just laugh because I think once you get a certain age, you can be as racist as you want. Because my mom said some questionable things and she wasn't racist at all. She just didn't know better. She just used terminology that she was familiar with. So I'll probably edit that out, but I'll leave it in the podcast, edit out the YouTube. But we don't get in trouble on the podcast. It just, if you look at it in toto, you see that this has been something that's been going on for a very long time. Everybody knew Kennedy was a POS as far as his personal life and how he treated everybody and everything. He was very popular. Of course, he would be a conservative Republican with his views nowadays. He
called for cutting taxes.
Yeah, he wanted to cut taxes, folks, and strong national. Obviously, he was very much into a strong foreign policy and closed borders. But you see it back. You see it back. Clinton. The media didn't go after Clinton, and I've had so many people on left go, well, they both were adults. Him and Monica Lewinsky, they were both adults, and I'm like, okay, I don't care. You gotta put that position of. Can you imagine, like, as a colonel, and you and I got caught nailing one of our lieutenants or something, or E7? Career over. And it's not like I didn't have the opportunity. I was just talking to somebody the other day. I mean, I getting pictures on my phone going, what's up. This was a very long time ago, and I'm going, this is an E5 and I'm the XO of this brigade.
Yeah, I mean, there would have been none of this. You were two consenting adults thing.
Do you know what I immediately did? I sent it to the S1 who I trusted, this E8 Master Sergeant. I go, this is what I just got. And I wanted to share this with you because in case this goes forward. And he's like, no, let me take care of it. And then, of course, in parentheses, he goes, damn. I'm like, yeah. He goes, what is it with you? How do you do it? And he's like, knock it off. But I immediately got somebody involved that was impartial involved going, here you go. And I handled it internally. It didn't become an it was just like, she came in my office crying. He's like, I really fucked up. I'm like, yeah, you did, but you know what? It's over with. Let's move out, draw fire. Let's go do some shit.
Yeah, and Clinton was predatory with it with Monica Lewinsky. I'm sure Monica was into it because a lot of women.
I'm sure too, but it's still no excuse.
Power. I mean, my own mother at the time said, "Hey, she said, I think Clinton is detestable, but I get it. You're a young 22-year-old woman, 22-year-old young woman, and the most powerful man in the world, is
that happens all the time.
That's an aphrodisiac. We can say that it's not, but it's an evolutionary throwback to when a lot of women are drawn to power because it back not too long ago it had an evolutionary advantage. You were safe.
100%.
You were spreading your genes. That I'm not saying that makes it right. I'm just looking at from a biological and evolutionary standpoint. That's what it used to be.
Right.
And as much as we'd like to think we've moved past that, we have our libidos and our hormonal systems have not evolved in the last 500 years past that. They just haven't.
No, they haven't. We still have the savannah brains, as we like to talk about, and we're thrust into these situations. It's well beyond most people's ability to manage. And the one final thing I wanted to say on my side on that was when you get the left arguing with you about like, well, nobody ever proved it. Okay, number one, the journalists didn't go after Bill Clinton like they would have a Republican. Number one. Number two, let's look at the Joe Biden case, the Hunter Biden laptop and everything that was on that, and then the transcripts of his conversation saying we're going to kick 10% to the big guy. And what did you ever hear a mainstream media talk about his daughter Ashley coming out with a journal?
I'm familiar with the journal, but the mainstream media didn't talk about it at all.
They ignored it completely, where there was not just intimations, but direct memories in there where he was incestuous.
Yep.
I'm sorry, when you take a naked shower with your teenage daughter, I don't care what happens in that shower. You need to be put away. Okay, that's a crime. That's a crime, folks. But the main and it was from his daughter. I guess I guess it's not believe all women when it's the president's daughter. Holy fucking shit. It's not like some Republican got to her and said, hey, I'll take you to church camp if you lie about Joe Biden. I mean, it's not. It's crazy.
They covered that up. They've covered up a lot of stuff.
It's complete. Yeah, they would compete. They'd probably. I don't even know how this Swalwell thing broke. I couldn't really figure it out.
But look, this is another part of how we got Donald Trump.
Right.
And here's what I mean by that is because previous Republican presidents were held to a fairly high moral standard. I mean, I'd have to really go back and think of the last Republican that cheated on his wife before Trump. And there were some shady characters, like Richard Nixon was a little shady, obviously. But in terms of moral turpitude with their spouses, I'd have to really think about a Republican president that meets that.
I honestly can't think of any. I mean, Ronald Reagan and was completely dedicated to his wife, much to the chagrin of his kids, and George W. certainly, that was a love story for the ages there.
Yeah, but I bring that up to say that Republicans got tired of being the only one to uphold the standard, and so Trump comes along, and Trump's got some challenges in his personal life. I don't think there's any breaking news in that. But Republicans were tired of being the only ones to uphold that standard. They're finally like, well, you know what? We no longer give a shit. Now, is that right or wrong? I don't know. But I'm not going to say. I will listen. It's kind of like I don't know if you were going to talk about this, but it's kind of like the Jesus doctor meme. I'll listen to true believers on that. Just like I'll listen to folks who actually hold marriage vows sacred on that. I'm not listening to a bunch of leftists who are all about free love and cheating on everybody and thruples and polyamory and all this other shit. I'm not going to listen to their lectures. I'm just not. I'm done with that.
Where does the idea that you're on the moral high ground come from with these fucking people?
So they can piss off.
What possible way does that make any sense?
Yeah, they can piss off. I'm not listening to that anymore. So they don't bring it up because they actually believe it. They're trying to bring it up as a mic drop. As a dunk. And so it's simply not credible coming from them.
It's projection. It's externalization and projection. And that's what I've come up with. I think it's just all of this bullshit about, oh, you're evil and Trump is the Antichrist and all. It's like, okay, number one, you don't even believe in those two things.
Yep.
That's a very Christian thing to believe in, a Judeo-Christian thing to believe in, like, those two things. And you don't understand. I do want to get into this. We'll shift. It's a good transition. You brought that up because I do want to talk. There's a couple of things that came up in the last few days about Christianity and Trump and the Trump administration. I wanted to point one thing out, and I'm going to pull something up. I cannot believe I can't remember. Hold on.
By the way, I'm not seeing you right now. I'm seeing a picture of Huckleberry.
Oh, are you? Okay, hold on. I'll fix that in a minute. Something else I need to fix first. Let's see. It is. Okay. I don't know where it is, but I think I remember off the top of my head. There's a couple things that came up, and let me get my video camera working again. There
you go.
There we go. I don't know why it died. I guess I got up and probably something. I don't know. I went to get a soda and quit working. First of all, we don't have to get hip deep into it. I'd like to get into it kind of hip deep one time for folks is, the whole idea that if you're Christian, you can't, Pete Hegseth basically saying, he prays and he doesn't think God's against this war. And, that wasn't, I'm paraphrasing. I didn't want to look up the exact quote, that he's a man of faith and he believes that God's behind us. And then you get these secular people who all of a sudden care about Jesus and they care about interpretations of scripture.
Yeah.
And I'm just like, all right. I can think of 4 or 5 verses off the top of my head. And especially, I don't know if you saw that I shared Psalm 125, which is all about a prayer before battle and let my arrows find the foes and may your fire, they think it was David, of course, before a battle. And, it basically is like, I'm going to smite the fuck out of these guys. And God, I want your help because I know you want these guys dead too. There's probably 75 references in the Old Testament. There's even references in the New Testament about just war. St. Thomas Aquinas, just war theory, one of the most important philosophical writings in history, in my opinion. There was a time there that most of the great philosophical thinkers were actually Catholic monks.
Yep.
And there's a ton of them. I'm an Aquinas fan myself, and I've got his volumes, and they're like both 1,200 pages of his writings. And I still, even though I studied it in college, I still kind of go, fuck, this guy he was tapped in. It's like he had like a Cat5 cable from him to God's brain or something like that. But one of the things that I always surprises people is like, is it Exodus 2013? Is that the 10 Commandments ish?
While I've read
I've
read the 5 books of the Torah, I'm not familiar enough to quote the exact verse.
I'm not trying to play stump the chump. I actually let me get this right. Holy shit. Exodus 2013 is exactly what I wanted to look at.
You are just spot on, aren't you, you biblical scholar, you?
I did look this up about 5 hours ago, so I should have. I knew what I wanted. I just want to make sure I get the verse right. Well, it's basically thou shalt not kill. Okay. Mm. It's one of the 10 Commandments. If you read that part of Exodus, it's kind of confusing because there's 6 sentences at the beginning of Exodus 20, and the Catholics kind of put them all in one. It's the idolatry and worship false idols and that whole thing, but they're all the same. It's basically worship God only. Yahweh is the only God, you only worship him. And there's all these other ways that you can fuck that up. Don't do them. But 2013 is thou shalt not kill. One of the things that I bless my academic background is that I have studied things quite literally. And I had to write down the Hebrew phrase for it because I remember this very specifically, a Jesuit priest talking about this. And I'm going to screw this up, but the word is lo tierza. Tierza. I can't pronounce it. It's supposed to so, I can't do that. I guess I'm only a little bit of the tribe, not as much as I am German, because I have a great German pronunciation ability. But I guess the tribe is not but lo tierza, something like that. It doesn't mean kill. It literally means premeditated murder.
Murder. Yep.
And it's a premeditated type, which is the worst type. That's what you get the death penalty for in the states that have the death penalty. It has nothing to do with actual killing. There's the Hebrew language and Aramaic, the predecessor and all that it's much different than English. And there's a whole bunch of different words for kill, not just murder and kill. And then, we have manslaughter, but these are legal terms. We're talking language terms. And so the one that people say, thou shalt not kill, and even the Christians that you see them in the movies. I don't know anybody like this, but it says in the good book, thou shalt not kill. I don't know if the people in Pennsylvania or the Amish are that into that very literal. Guess what? You guys are fucking up. It should say thou shalt not murder. And in some Bibles, it is translated that way.
I made that point in the book that I wrote, Salvation Day, where when the main character's having a conversation with God, it comes out that it's, thou shalt not, God corrects him, says, it's thou shalt not murder.
Mm-hmm.
And the folks who are talking about thou shalt not kill and others and trying to quote scripture, These are people who have a sitcom level understanding of the Bible. They've watched the
Right.
Charlie Brown Christmas special and they think they've got it down. They
Right.
lead out so much because they aren't studying it to try to gain a prayerful understanding of God and have a relationship with God. They're using it to try to either find contradictions or try and dunk on true believers. It's hysterical when you get these folks bringing up these questions that they think are slam dunks for either their view of religion or why they think God doesn't exist, as if Christian scholars have not been studying this stuff for about 2,000 years. I mean, you're not going to come up with a question that has not penetrated the scholarship of Christianity in some way or some form over the last, you know, dozen or more centuries. We Christian scholars have studied this stuff for a long time. So I don't listen to religious scolding from people who are not religious, from people who don't have faith. And I don't listen to it from people who twist the scriptures, like James Talrico down in Texas, claiming that God is non-binary. I'm like, no, that's not the way that reads.
Well, I'll leave him for another day. I could talk
Yeah.
all night about.
So, if you're either trying to use scripture as a dunk or you're intentionally twisting scripture, your word is meaningless to me. I'm not going to take that seriously. If you want to argue on some kind of factual level, you can try that, but your religious stuff is meaningless because you really don't know what you're talking about.
The and if you really look at it, some of the great, like, I take the classes at Hillsdale College, the free ones, and there's some amazing thinkers on the board of Hillsdale College. I think the best thinking, philosophy, and writing is coming from the religious right these days, and
Yeah,
that has always been the case to a certain extent. Like C.S. Lewis is considered one of the great philosophers of the 20th century.
absolutely.
And his everything about his fiction and his writing was his Christian identity. All of it,
Hmm.
everything was completely. You could read C.S. Lewis, all of his all of his works, and you would be a fabulously well educated Christian, even by osmosis. You would be. Um, and you got so many now, and the atheist types, that Christopher Hitchens is long dead. You know, and he was at least interesting in his approach to things. But what's Sam Harris? I
Tim
can't.
Harris.
Oh,
I don't.
he
I think he's shallow.
he's very shallow, and Mr. I meditate, and I'm a master, and I'm a guru master, and all this. Boy, one mention of Trump will send you to the fucking moon.
Yep.
Yeah, you're so well. I mean, you've got
He,
TDS as
he
bad as
justified
any.
cheating to not elect Trump. He justified lying to not elect Trump. So yeah, he's not exactly credible on this either.
No, and that's another thing that's been stuck in my head, and to hear people say that, oh, you're such a man of faith. Well, God in the Bible doesn't say anything about war being okay. It actually does a lot. That
It
whole thing
really
where
does.
you know
Is
the whole
that
thing about Joshua fit the battle at Jericho, which is there are a million references, and I didn't want to pull up a bunch of scripture because I can tend to get that way to the Jews. We have slayed the enemy, Father, and la 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 la. I pray for our ability to vanquished because I know it's what you want. I mean, read Jeremiah, one of the great prophets of the Old Testament. Read that. Boy, there's a lot of violence in Jeremiah. Whole bunch.
there's a lot of violence in a lot of this. I mean, you can read Judges where they vacillate between when they weren't following the will of God to they come back to the will of God, and then they go out and they slaughter a whole bunch of folks in the area and retake Israel.
Right.
I'm more focused on the Old Testament right now because let's be fair, the Old Testament is a lot longer than the New Testament, so I was blowing through the New Testament pretty fast.
Right.
Um, and I need to understand more of the foundation of the what went into the foundation of the Bible to truly appreciate the New Testament. So I've gone back and I'm reading the Old Testament, and yeah, there's some God. I mean, it's not just that there was war in there; it's that God told them to go out and make war.
Yeah.
I mean, the when I believe it may have been in Exodus where no, it was in Numbers where God is basically saying, "Hey, create your army of this many people, and go out and slaughter your enemies and take the land. He wasn't subtle about that.
He was not. And if you even want to just remove the religious and spiritual issues concerning our war with Iran and just go blow by blow about what America has done for the world and what Iran has done since 1979 for the world, go ahead and tell me it's not a good thing. Go ahead and tell me it's not a good thing to take those fucking people out. And I'm not talking about the people, the common people of Iran, the civilians. I'm talking about the leadership and this religious hegemony that they want the worldwide. We talked about it last week. About how this, the worldwide caliphate that they want to in place.
Yeah,
Christian nationalism. Yeah, well, you can take your Christian nationalism and I'll throw in a fucking Islamic worldism.
Yeah, well, and there's not a nation on earth that is, seeking to spread Christianity right now. Okay, there are actual theocratic Islamic regimes that are trying to do that, and Iran is foremost among them.
Right.
And it's like a lot of people think that we needed to wait until Iran had its finger on the button and was about to launch the nuke before we did anything.
That would have been a great idea.
Yeah. And then, if they did, blow up Tel Aviv or Berlin or whatever, that those same people would have blamed Trump for not doing anything.
Right.
One quick thing on the Iran thing. The two worst presidents of my lifetime were Joe Biden and Jimmy Carter. But I keep vacillating between the two because, I want to make sure that my judgment of Biden is not recency bias, but we're still feeling the effects today of Jimmy Carter's incompetence.
Absolutely.
So much of the stuff in the Middle East is a direct result of Carter fucking things up with the Shah and Iran. I mean, from the rise of Saddam Hussein. Well, Saddam Hussein did come to power earlier, but he invaded Iran and tried to become a regional power after the Ayatollahs came to power.
Yep.
The foundations of Hamas and Hezbollah trying to take out Israel. That's a direct result of Iran. Assad being in power in Syria for so long and then falling, to extremist rebels in Syria. That's a direct result of Iran's involvement.
Yep.
So there's so much that Jimmy Carter, just with that act alone, we could go into all kinds of other stuff like the Panama Canal and stagflation. We could go into all kinds of stuff on his incompetence with that. But just on Iran itself, we're still feeling the reverberations of that almost 50 years later. So I go back and forth between, Joe Biden was incompetent and stupid and run by people that were not him because he was not mentally there. Jimmy Carter was there, and he actually thought his ideas were good, and the level of idiocy with which he governed foreign policy, that's being felt almost half a century later. And I mean, he may have been a nice guy, but I don't care because
I don't either.
Look for nice guys to be president. I look for leaders to be president, and he only got in there because of Watergate, and he took advantage, and he still barely won. If Gerald Ford flipped like 20,000 votes in Ohio, then Ford would have won the presidency in '76.
It'd be a much different world if Ford had been president during that time, and I think Reagan still would have been the president in '80 because he was a rising star. But it'd be a much different world because Ford. Chevy Chase did that stupid thing where Ford was like bumbling and always falling down and hurting himself. Well, yeah. Gerald Ford was an All-American football player.
Yeah, he got caught tripping on stairs on the news twice, and that's what created that stereotype. Because that was also back when the three major networks were so much more powerful.
Yeah, Ford was everything that I've read about that period of history. Ford was actually a very competent, smart guy, and it'd be a different world. I don't think that. We wouldn't be fighting this Iran war right now. I don't think so. And anybody that we talked about it last week, so I won't even bring up this, Zion, we're fighting a Zionist war for Israel. Yeah, Israel's calling the shots. All right. Take a look at the strategic things that he has done. Trump, I'm saying, has done. Venezuela, working on Cuba. I have been telling everybody that I know that this blockade was planned from jump because they knew that Iran was going to. Are you fucking serious? They knew, but having Iran not capitulate gave them that trigger. That was the trigger in the military decision making process. It was
if nothing else. There was a contingent, at the very worst, there was a contingency for it because you had all the ships already there to do
You
it.
got the ships to do it. It's like, Patton wanted to kill the Russians because I got the equipment, I got the men, and you have everything there you need for. Can you imagine trying to get through that blockade?
Yeah.
2 aircraft carriers, like 5 destroyers, and all that other stuff they got going on.
I don't know if you've seen the pictures of the Iranian sub that's supposed to be such a badass. It looks like the thing I wrote at Disney World. It really does. And they got
Does
the
it really?
speedboats that are supposed to be going out. I mean, look, this all sounds good to people who know nothing about our capabilities. But by the way, did you see the Iranian AI propaganda where they supposedly sunk an aircraft carrier?
Yes.
I don't know how.
I thought it was from a video game, like one of those war video games.
They are so bad at this propaganda.
They are.
But some gullible saps eat it up because they want to believe that we should lose.
No, it's confirmation bias. It's the whole world is confirmation bias. And it's like, here's the thing though. Confirmation bias is one thing. Confirmation bias is usually fed by something that's kind of true or maybe is true, but it's a little drop in a big pond of water.
Mm-hmm.
You look for it, so you see it. This isn't confirmation bias because this is not true.
Not even close.
You either are going off of complete falsehoods, lies, and make believe that people are doing on purpose for propaganda, or you're just fucking stupid and you're reading something into it that it doesn't. I couldn't exist that way, dude. Life has been too hard on me. One of the things that I've clung to, one of my life preservers, is that I'm fucking smart and I'm logical and I can make sense of shit.
It also doesn't.
Fuck. I couldn't live that way.
The claims don't hold up in a free market democracy that has access to such widespread media. Because I first noticed this during the Gulf War back in '91 when I was a senior in high school, was when Saddam was claiming that he shot down all these planes. And I remember I had this very lefty math teacher say, well, maybe he's doing that and we're covering it up. And I said, hey, with all due respect, do you really think that the families of these pilots would not run to the nearest network news press conference if their loved one's death was being covered up? That's the same thing here. If we were losing soldiers like that, losing sailors, airmen, in that kind of a thing, the press would have found every relative they could.
Absolutely, 100%.
Yeah, to promote those things. So common sense alone says Iran is full of shit. You and I know it. But if somebody applies even a modicum of brain power to it, they can figure it out. But a lot of people don't want to apply that brain power because it jars the narrative they want to believe.
It was like that woman that I got into it with that I told you about, that was on somebody else's, some C-level celebrities page. But she was like mad that Donald Trump had doubled his I don't know if I talked about it on the pod. I know I talked to you about it, but she's been, well, Donald Trump, since he's been in office this last term, has doubled his wealth. And I'm like, all right, you really need to bring some receipts if you're going to say stuff. Oh, first of all, she said that he's been bribed by everybody on the planet, including the Chinese and the Russians. Yeah, you can bribe a billionaire who does whatever the fuck he wants. Yeah, you could probably bribe me. No, you can't bribe me because I don't mind being poor. But I find dignity in being able to pay for my dogs whatever they want, and I rub 2 nickels together. No, I'm kidding. It's not that bad. I'm just fine. But I have been poor, and I know what that's like, and I don't think you could have bribed me with a lot of shit even then. And I was like, you need to bring the receipts. So she puts an article in there that talks about how Donald Trump's holdings in real estate have gone up since that's real estate.
Yeah, real estate tends to increase in price over time.
Yes. And so I brought my receipts back where just in office, we're not talking about stuff that happened after office. Bill Clinton in 8 years, his net worth went up by 9,700%. Barack Obama's went up by almost 8,000%. And Nancy Pelosi's portfolio, I shit you not, got the receipts. I cut and paste and put it in there, and I linked the deal. 30,000% return. She's enjoyed that. I had a 600% return on a penny stock once, and I was really excited. Only I paid like 0.0001 cents per share.
Yeah.
So I was like, I went from like $30 to like $70 or whatever it was. I'm making that up, but it wasn't very much. But I was like, I was doing that for fun when I didn't have any money.
Mm-hmm.
And, just kind of learning and doing fun stuff. And I was like, geez, I had a penny stock once that got me 600%. But can you imagine like having blue chips that returned 30,000% overall? That's actually true, folks. You go. I'll post it one of these days on the page. I keep forgetting to post all these wonderful things, but anyway, no, it's astonishing. And the cognitive dissonance, we talk about it all the time. And just looking at this big picture stuff, it's always been a cabal with the media ever since I've been able to ascertain with the media, the education system, Hollywood. It's a wonder that we ever get Republicans elected ever again in any office anywhere, because they're, the one thing about, there's a lot of people on the right that I'm like, just shut up, dude. I mean, you're putting out the worst stereotype when they can't like speak very well, and they type, fuck you, man. That ain't it's like, okay, all right. But I don't see, it's mostly what I see is somebody like, there's a page that I like that's people pretending to be Democrats. And so we'll put outrageous stuff up there and people, ha ha ha. It's very funny. It always makes me laugh because at first I'll look at it, it's like, oh yeah. We like to pretend to be Democrats, I think is what the page is called. And then, but there's a bunch of lefties that leak into all these pages and they'll put actual stuff. Oh, you stupid fuckers, la, 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 la. And the responses, some of them are uncouth and a little backwards, but they're always like, shut up, you stupid fuck. Oh my God. Okay. LOL. What rock did you? It's always done with a sense of, this person sucks and they're ridiculous. And so I'm going to treat them ridiculous, where on the left, it's always just met with hate, hate, hate. You're a Nazi. You're a bigot. You're this, you're that. And it's like, it's kind of my buddies in high school. And there was somebody who actually said this. He had a bit of a speech impediment.
Mm-hmm.
And we would get him to say different stuff. And instead of you are, or you guys are, he would say urine. And we would in front of him, actually, we'd do it. Oh, urine so stupid. You're fucking dumb. And because there is a little bit of a accent where I grew up, Lewis County accent, and it's on the east side of the county. And it's a little nasally, sound like fuck you, you fucking fucker, is what somebody said to me once when they were mad at me, which was wonderful. And that's gone down in history. And that's kind of the feeling I get from all these people. They may not be educated. They may not be, holding the pulse of geopolitics, but it's kind of funny to me, the disdain, almost playful disdain they have with these people that say this stupid stuff. It's very rarely, oh, I'm offended. It's never I'm offended, because you can't offend these people.
Mockery is the best response, because
it is.
People they know how to fight anger. They don't like being thought of as stupid. If you can actually mock them well, then it throws them off their game. For one, it shows that their insults have no effect on you, so they've lost their power.
Right.
And then it shows what you really think of them. Going back to something you said a second ago about how do we ever elect Republicans, if it was not for the colossus that is the mainstream media and the cultural hold it has held for the last almost 100 years, if it was not for that, the country would probably be 70-30 Republican.
I think so too.
The cultural colossus that the left has had on entertainment, on the media, on education is the only reason it's at 50-50 now, which should tell you just how weak their ideas are.
Yeah, I remember you saying that a few years ago when we were digging into this podcast, and I took a good look at that and how I felt about that. I think you're really close on that number. I think that's about the number I'd give it too, because of exactly what this actually harkens back to what we've been talking about this whole time. This nut roll that has happened, that I'll come out and say things to people. It's like, well, this and this and this and this. I'm like, wait a minute, your first premise is completely flawed. Your first premise is not true at all. Therefore, your conclusion has to be false. Well, what do you mean? That's like the first thing I learned in critical thinking in my college class. That's like the very first thing. It's like premise, conclusion. Both premises have to be true in order for your conclusion to be true. A plus B equals C. And it's like, wait a minute, the premise you started out with, Will, and it's often he's a pedophile. Trump is a pedophile. Okay, false premise. It's never been proven, so you can't use that in a logical argument. You can't use that as a premise. You can't. It's not. It's not a fact.
When I
Sorry.
ask people for their evidence on that, they're usually just like, "Well, everybody just knows he is." I'm like, "Well, that's not an argument. That's you having an emotional tantrum."
Yeah, it's like the photo that goes around of the young girl sitting on his lap and seeing it's like that's his daughter Ivanka at family gatherings,
Yeah.
and nobody's not wearing clothes or anything like that. It's all very, you know, and I mean, there. I don't even know. There might have been a shot with him like in a pool. I mean, what parents like at the beach and stuff like that? That's bad for you to, hang out with your kids and play with your kids in the water and stuff like that. It's fun. You're supposed to do that. It's fun. And it's just, I really honestly believe that there was some kind of cool micro universe that we could, like the Koopaverse, for instance, and we could go there and nobody could lie, right? You can't,
Oh,
it's
that would.
impossible. It's impossible for you to lie in discourse. Like your jaw would lock up or something, maybe something more humorous, like you would shit your pants immediately. If you
I was just gonna say like your red sparks come out of your head, but I like shit your pants better.
It's just like like Mississippi butt mud. And we're talking like just titanic amounts. I guess we'd have to suspend the laws of physics a little bit, but uh, I think that would be amazing because I see some smart people on there, and what I don't see, and I see people that like are on the left that will try to reason things out. They'll tattoo. I see it sometimes. There's smart people. You got a guy on your page that at least he can write and string thoughts together, but his premises are almost always completely flawed.
Oh yeah.
Or he's using words that he's not using the actual definition of that word.
Or
You
he's
know,
using he uses a lot of what I call movie theater premises
yes.
where this is stuff he's gotten from the culture and he's gotten
Good call.
from what he's seen on the screen or on TV, and it actually doesn't match. It's like the folks who say that why don't you shoot him in the arm or the leg? Well, that's great for a movie or a TV show. It's not the way the real world works. But
Center of mass. We're all trying to shoot center of mass.
yeah, but if you base your premise off of the stereotype you got from the culture, that's going to lead to a flawed conclusion.
100%. And who's in charge of Hollywood? Oh, by the way,
Yeah.
People that think like you do. So you're not going to, I don't know. There are, go watch a Mel Gibson movie, but you won't because he believes in Jesus,
Yeah.
So, God help that we should all believe in something a little more important than our own narcissistic little fucking fantasy lives. And it's, I mean, seriously, when you start stacking things up, me, I sometimes I get bent out of shape because the pretentiousness of the conservative movement that I went through in my 20s really turned me off. And to this very day, if I see somebody that reminds me of those rhinos and some of them that still exist, like Lindsey Graham, I don't care how correct he is on what he's saying. I just don't want Lindsey Graham to talk anymore. I just don't. I've had my fill of his rhino bullshit. Some people like that, but that's pretty rare. That's pretty rare within because there's a lot of, like I said the other day on a post where I put up a Brandon Gill video. I really hope that he's part of the future of the Republican Party because we've got some serious talent that's very young in the Republican Party.
The only danger. Look, we view Trump as inevitable now, but we can't forget that one of the reasons he was able to snag the nomination was we had 17 candidates running in 2016.
I know.
We had all the talent in the world, but it all decided to try to take a piece of the pie at once. And so it's great to have the talent, but the talent needs to know where it's best utilized and not all try to take the top spot at the same time.
Yep. I think you're right, and I hope that they have a plan for that because I see a lot of talent right now. Like, what is Ron DeSantis going to do next? I'm kind of curious. I I'm kind of thinking that everybody's like, oh well, he'll probably, it'll be Vance and him. It'll be president, vice president. I don't know that I like that mix of personalities that much.
And it's going to be Vance Rubio probably.
It's probably going to be Vance and Rubio, and I don't want to leave Rubio out. I mean, I'd be just fine if Rubio was our nominee going into
He would actually, to be honest, I like JD Vance okay, but Rubio, based on his performance over the last year and a half, is my top choice for the nomination right now.
He's mine too. I would be 100%. I think Vance is great, and I think he's incredibly smart and he's very articulate. And I like how he puts a more logical and forceful and a little bit more eloquent face on a lot of Trump's
Yeah, he
stuff.
can articulate stuff a lot better than Trump can.
Absolutely, 100%. But God, Marco Rubio, I've always thought he was a talented dude, but he's killing it. And what you notice about Marco Rubio too is that he's got the respect of the press corps.
Yep.
Nobody's out there trying to take big shots at Marco Rubio. He's got, he was one of them, of course. So, his Senate hearings and stuff like that, he gets treated with a lot of respect. There's this weird, I think, because Vance was Orange Goblin's pick, that there's going to be a lot of flack sticking to him because of that.
Well, and we haven't I mean, in my lifetime, there has been exactly one sitting vice president that became president the term after. Joe Biden had to skip over a term.
Right.
I guess it was Hillary's turn to go. But George H.W. Bush was the only one that went straight from the vice presidency into the presidency. I think before that, you have to go all the way back to like Martin Van Buren or something.
Is it that far back? Wow.
The only other vice president.
I'll look that up. I'll look that up after we get off because that's
the only other vice presidents that became president happened to become president as vice president because the
right
guy they were with died in office, like Teddy Roosevelt. Yeah, Teddy Roosevelt won the election in 1904, but you got to remember that he became president in 1901 after William McKinley got shot.
Right.
So it just doesn't happen very often. You carry that stigma. Now, whether that is a function of, it's the vice president going into that, or it's a function of we just tend to change parties. Because ever since World War II, the party in power has only held the presidency for 3 consecutive terms once. That was Reagan to Bush.
Mm-hmm.
We get every 4 to 8 years, we get this is the permanent majority of either Democrat or Republican. And we always switch. That's why I was not as sold that Hillary was going to win in 2016 as so many people were. Because we simply don't elect the same party to power 3 terms in a row. It almost never happens. Franklin Roosevelt was the last guy that did that. Franklin Roosevelt to Harry Truman. And that was more or less a fluke.
Right.
And then before that, Republicans held it for a long time because of the Civil War. There were a few interludes of Democrats. But since World War II, we're talking 80, over 80 years now, it switches every 8 years with one exception.
No, it's going to be scary to think about what they're going to be putting in there.
But see, there's 2 other things though when you look at it. Number one, even though this is Trump's second term, you're not looking at 3 terms in a row because you had the Biden interlude in there.
Right.
Second, the opposing candidate matters. And I can only think of 2 Democrats that would do well in a general. And one of them I really don't like, and one of them I'm only kind of, whatever on. That's Josh Shapiro and Mark Kelly. But neither of them can get the nomination, I don't think. You look at Newsom. I mean, Newsom's California record is going to come back to haunt him. Kamala Harris wants to run again.
Everything that Newsom does is going to come. Have you seen this? I don't want to do it as a separate thing. Have you seen all this shit about his wife and all the stupid shit she's been doing?
Oh yeah, she is to the presidency.
She is batshit crazy.
Oh yeah,
yeah,
and put her on full display. And again, Bill Clinton was able to get into office because first of all, few people knew who he was, and he was a conservative Southern governor. Okay, Barack Obama was able to get into office because he didn't have a record. He was charismatic and he didn't have a record. Newsom's record in California is out there. I have a new friend on Facebook who has tried talking up Newsom, and I'm like, dude, I don't think you get just how much the rest of the country despises California. Okay? The shit that you think plays does not play in Michigan or Pennsylvania or Iowa. It just doesn't. So you put Newsom up there, okay. Kamala Harris is talking about running again. Yeah, I mean, Vance may as well start measuring for the drapes in the White House right now.
Right.
Pete Buttigieg, there goes the African American base. Aside from the fact that he couldn't even fill the potholes in Indiana, what was the town that he was the mayor of?
Yeah.
Um,
No, I know this. I
I
can't
don't even
remember.
remember the town, but right or wrong, the African American base is not going to vote for a gay man. I just that's just not what's going to happen.
Yeah,
Um,
or and Trump made some big inroads to in the Latino Hispanic
yeah,
community. Same thing. The Hispanics don't. They're not going to vote for.
you can bemoan that. I'm not making a judgment call on that.
No,
I'm just
no,
simply
no.
saying that's the way that the culture exists like that.
Yeah, it
Um,
is. So I'm not saying bad or good, or it's just an
yeah,
empirical fact.
I don't know that AOC wants to run this time. She's going to run by 2032. But I mean,
God,
despite the fact that tonight they did put a progressive, lunatic to win a special election in New Jersey, but the only reason that happened was that was Mickey Sherrill's district, which she won by 15 points back in uh, 20 24.
right?
So that was going to go Democrat anyway. But AOC is not going to play in Missouri or Arizona.
Oh God, no, no,
Um,
no.
Sanders is too old. Uh, I mean, who like I said, we talk about vice presidents don't normally go in, but who exactly are the Democrats going to run? They have two I could see as viable, and I don't see either one of them getting the nomination. And while they may have fantasies about Gretchen Whitmer, I think the Democrats are going to be too gun shy to put another woman on the ticket
I think so
for
too.
at least a decade or two, because they wrongly attribute their loss to Kamala and Hillary being women as opposed to them being horrible candidates who
Right.
were incompetent and couldn't speak. I mean, nobody trusted Hillary, and Kamala, was seems like she was drunk half the time.
The day
Gretchen
drinking
Whitmer
whore,
could,
as I like to call her, the day drinking whore.
yeah,
Yes.
Gretchen Whitmer could present a challenge. I don't think she can get the nomination because they're going to say we can't nominate a woman. That's what's going to happen.
And I've heard that. I've heard that there's already talk that they're going to run a white man. Uh,
Oh, they've been saying it openly.
yeah, they've been saying it openly that they screwed up with Hillary. You know, Hillary, if she had had one modicum of personality that didn't come across as a screeching evil harpy, she would have won that election
Oh
quite
yeah,
easily because of her affiliation with a beloved Democratic figure, her husband. And I'm not going to say that Hillary Clinton isn't an intelligent person. She's whip smart about certain things. But her soul was compromised a long, long time ago. That's her problem.
yeah. Well, see, what I said, I don't like Joe Biden. But Joe Biden probably would have walked into the White House in 2016 because he was still thought of as the moderate Uncle Joe.
Yep.
Um, if Biden had picked Gretchen Whitmer instead of Kamala Harris, then Whitmer could have won the 2024 election.
I think so
But
too.
I think that, gotta remember, Joe Biden talked himself to a corner during the summer of love, saying that he was going to pick a black woman as his vice president. That's why he couldn't pick Whitmer. Uh, so and those losses obviously just made the Democrats gunshot. When they say a white man, they're probably talking about Gavin Newsom because he's got the infrastructure going in,
He's
which
going to get killed. He's going to get killed.
he'll get crushed in a general election.
He won't get
And
a single swing state. He won't get a single swing state. I doubt they'll even let him debate because Vance would crush him.
Vance would kill him.
Marco Rubio, Vance did crush him in that little pay-per-view, whatever the fuck they did
That
there.
was DeSantis that did that.
Oh, DeSantis. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I was going to say DeSantis would crush him. Fucking Rubio would like pick his teeth with him while he
Yeah,
was getting
I
a
think Vance would
pedicure.
crush him because
I do too.
Vance is articulate.
I do too.
I think that he not only would he not win a swing state, the Democrats they have to win the White House in 2028 because if the census in 2030 is conducted legitimately, they're going to lose, I want to say, on the order of 8 to 11 more electoral votes through migration, to
Right.
where the vaunted blue wall is going to become meaningless. A Republican, if the census trends hold and is conducted legitimately, a Republican can lose the entire blue wall of Michigan, Wisconsin, and Pennsylvania and still win the presidency
Right.
based on the numbers. Because Texas is going to pick up seats, Florida's going to pick up seats, uh, Tennessee is going to pick up seats, Utah may pick up another seat. It's just the outmigration from New York and California, which are trying to, you know, I know a whole bunch of successful states that tax their wealthy citizens that try to leave.
Yeah.
Your state's is trying that. Washington State's going to
Yep.
try that.
Yep.
I
We're
don't know
trying
how
a
to
lot
survive
of stuff
the
up here.
constitutional
It's crazy.
challenge.
Yeah.
I don't know how to survive the constitutional challenge, but
Oh, I don't
whatever.
think it has a chance in hell of doing that.
What I think they're trying to do is they're hoping that they can keep it in place for a few years and grab some money while it makes its way to the Supreme Court, so they can get some revenue for 2 or 3 years or whatever it takes.
I will do it on another podcast. One of the things I had sitting in the queue just in case was to revisit this taxes, and we did a whole show on it when we used to do something called Two Grumpy Bastards University.
Yeah.
Um, we did a whole show on taxes and stuff like that, but I think it bears repeating some of it, and I'll dissect it. I thought, we'll get busy enough with what we're going to talk about, and I'll dissect it up a little bit and update it for the current. I think I had up to 2018 when we did it. But yeah, the whole thing about every state that's tried this has lost revenue compared to lowering taxes. It's so fucking simple. Even a Democrat can do it.
Should
There
be
is
able to
no
understand it.
there is no state, there is no municipality that's raised taxes, corporate taxes, or any of these type of taxes that actually took more money in than taxes who have lowered it.
But yours requires a more complicated understanding than me tax, price go up, me get more money. That's their
Right.
entire understanding.
It's entire understanding.
Yep, they
Yeah.
think I can raise taxes and people will just voluntarily give it to me because now things cost more. That's not the way that human nature works.
No, it's not, and it's crazy that people and we'll do that. We'll revisit that because it's been a few years. It's been
Yeah.
about I was looking at my notes and it's like, oh, that was 3 years ago we did that. So
Wow.
definitely bears repeating because of what's going on in New York and Washington State and all these other places. These millionaire taxes. There's people that are even somebody did a whole thing. I thought it was hilarious. Some fucking gullible people are you talking about? You read something on the internet, and I don't believe almost anything anymore with AI. My
Yeah.
sources, I believe, and I always check things. But they were talking about, the Seahawks are going to get sold. They have to as part of the legacy, and they're going to get sold. And somebody put on the Seahawks fan page that pops up every now and again. I don't take it seriously because people are so fucking stupid, especially about sports. But that the current owners, and some billionaire group was seen at the airport in Boise, Idaho, because they're gonna move the team to Boise because of the millionaire
Yeah.
tax. Yeah,
Sure. Uh-huh.
people actually believed that shit, but it illustrated like what people are thinking about this millionaire tax.
Yeah.
It's like I've heard it on the sports radio station that I listen to sometimes instead of other podcasts. It's like,
It's going to
will
hurt
it
the
affect?
Seahawks roster.
Will it hurt the roster? The thing is, I think there's only out of all of the NFL, there's only like nine places that don't have the income tax, and we used to be one of
Yeah.
them.
But it's a
But
matter of, well, first of all, it's a matter of the millionaires' specific tax and how much that
yes,
is.
yes,
And then, like you said, that used to be a big selling point for why you could get folks to Seattle instead of San Francisco.
right,
Hey, come up here, we don't have an income tax. That goes away now.
right. Right. No, that goes away. And with everything, I tell people this all the time. It's like, well, number one, you don't understand economics if you think this is just going to affect a small group of millionaires, that it's not going to affect everybody that works for them. Stop every lot. We won't get into it right now.
Mhm.
But The example that I use, the Tacoma Narrows Bridge, very famous bridge here. It was in the 1950s when it collapsed. Galloping Gertie, there was all this video
Yeah,
on it. You
I've seen
probably
it.
you probably seen the video. Pretty scary, actually, what happened. So they built a new span, and then that span had been in place since then. Like 50 years or something like that.
Yeah.
It's like, and it's a lot of traffic going over to Olympic Peninsula. That's the main route to get over there, back and forth, and then that over there became a bedroom community for Tacoma. So blah 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 blah. So they put a new span on it, and they were going to pay for it with a toll. So we don't really have tolls here in Washington State.
Mm-hmm.
So it was going to be a $2 toll. I remember when they opened it up, and this is going to be for a period of 5 years. Okay, that was in the late 90s.
Yeah, you still have it, don't you?
Oh, it's like $7 now. And they came up with, these good to go passes where you could buy them and you're automatically read. And so then they started installing those in the HOV lanes trying to get into Seattle. Like, if you don't have 2 or 3 people in your car, that's okay. If you have this pass, we're just going to charge you $7 to use the left lane. It is like George Carlin, one of his things that he was talking about. It's like scientists have invented the most amazing machine ever. The only purpose of this machine is to lubricate itself.
I thought you were going down a different route.
I was going to say that's a perfect analogy for this stuff because it never stops. All it does is lubricate itself.
It reminded me of when he was talking about New Jersey, and he said instead of calling it the Garden State, they should call it the Toll Booth State because you can't back out of your driveway without some schmuck in a hat wants 50 cents.
Yeah, I've driven across parts of the country. It freaked me out the first time I drove up into like Kansas and Oklahoma because their turnpikes are, and it's like, fuck, what if you forgot your wallet or some shit? What do you do?
Oh, I know.
Weird. I mean, do you know how many times?
I think they'd probably take your license plate and send you something.
Well, I don't know what they would do, but it was weird. I was stopping and going. So, like, I just stopped like 8 miles ago and paid the toll. Yeah, but so what they do? This is a true story. People back there can confirm this. I don't know if it happens there. So they'll take like the historical number of that highway, and then they'll name part of it something different and give it a new number.
Yep.
And then that's the new highway, and that's the toll for that highway. Because I don't know. Have you been to Georgia much?
I've been through it. I haven't been there much.
Right. I mean, other than Fort Benning and whatnot, but I was trying to find. I was back there TDY for a week, going through some training, and my relatives, my aunt and uncle, and cousin Nona, and some other folks live west of the city, and they gave me directions. And this was prior to Waze and all that other stuff, and if you paid extra, you could get the the whatever it was, Garmin or whatever it was in your rental car. But I got so fucking lost, and I never get lost because I actually took photos of this and put it on the internet later on. There was like parkways and roadways that were named like 6 different things because they kept the historical thing. How the fuck am I ever supposed to find anything ever? I was looking at it, and it was literally 6 different numbers on this post. And I'm like, I have no idea where I'm at right now. And I never get lost. Anyway, that's about all I got for tonight, bro. How about you?
Yeah. You haven't happened to see Hail Mary yet, have you?
It's going to be this weekend for sure. I just,
go this weekend so we can talk about it next week.
Yeah, we'll talk about it next week. I saw it. I thought I was going to watch it last night because I thought it was already pay-per-view, but I had to reserve it.
Oh, okay.
That's all it let me do is reserve it. I think that was like on HBO Max or Apple TV actually is what it was on. And then next week, let's talk about, there'll be another one for all mankind. I wanted to
we'll definitely need to get into that. I
got some thoughts.
So do I.
Yeah. So I don't want to share them now.
Over next week. We can do a whole sci-fi thing next week.
I may not be as happy with it as I was hoping I'd be. I'm just may not.
Yeah, let's go over it next week because we could go down this rabbit hole real fast.
Yes, we could. So yeah, way to ruin one of my favorite shows. No, I'm kidding. I don't feel like the show's ruined. I missed the first 2 seasons, so those were great. I'll just say that.
They were awesome.
They were great. Okay, man. Yeah, we've been on for a while, believe it or not. We didn't talk about too many subjects, but these are important things, and we'll save the tax thing because more's going to come out as our far left Islamic fucking fundamentalist jihadi mayor in New York is realizing, oh, actually, I can't really pay for all this shit that I promised.
And oh, by the way, I could build, like 15 Aldis for what I'm gonna, and get it in half the time for what I'm gonna get this government grocery store built in 3 or 4 years.
Stupid. Oh my God. Yeah, because that stuff worked so well in every example ever.
But while they won't be done until 2029, they say that you should probably go ahead and get in line for bread now.
I just can't imagine New Yorkers like being okay with any of this shit. But hey, man, they put people like AOC, and they got some of the worst mayors in history that they put in office.
We can talk about that next week because I have thoughts on why I think that's happening too.
Oh, that sounds good. We'll definitely talk about that. I'll mark that down. Probably we won't talk about it at all because we always say stuff like that. We never do it. But
yeah.
That's all right. Well, hey, thanks, Russ. We'll get off here. So I will download this, or I'll upload this here in the next couple hours. So should be available by late tonight. And then I'll put a reminder on Facebook for everybody. Just wanted to say in general that my promises about redoing our store are indeed finally realized. I've had some time, and I had a lot of placeholders on there for designs. All the designs have either been reworked or brand new. I think there's some good stuff that you guys will like on there. I know it's probably annoying to see me throw a link on there every now and again to our Facebook page, but fuck you. If that annoys you, I don't care. It's like 1 out of every 20 posts, so I think you can handle it.
We'll be okay.
But there's some really good stuff. I got the seal of approval from Rush on a couple of Rush. Hey, Rush Limbaugh, how are you?
Yeah, I wish.
From you'd be dead of throat cancer, so you probably.
I would be healed. I'd be like the new Rush.
Okay, gotcha. You'd be like the Donald Trump touching you, Rush. We won't get into that. We won't get into that. I thought we were going to get into that, but I was like, I don't have anything to say about it. Just whatever.
No, we kind of covered it in a way.
Yeah, we did. Okay. And hey, take a look at the new one I told you about. I think
I will. I plan to see it probably right after this.
That'll be a little more controversial, but yeah, if you could look at it on your laptop or whatever, the store works a lot better on a computer than it does on the phone. All right, guys, thanks a lot. That's Russ over there in the wilds of Tennessee. I never did say what our name of our podcast was at the beginning because we got right into it. But this is Big Coop for the Two Grumpy Bastards. And remember to keep your focus and
stay wokeless.
Well, hey, everybody. This is Coop, the handsome and debonair one of the Two Grumpy Bastards podcast. Not to mention I'm the only one that's an actual bastard. Google that shit. Don't, actually. Hey, I'm here to do a shameless plug for our merchandise. You can find us at twogrumpybastardsmerchandise.com. We got a whole bunch of new merchandise in. I think you'll like some of the new choices. There's some pro-Second Amendment. There's some anti-Washington State Governor stuff on there. I think you'll really appreciate it. New stuff coming all the time. I have 2 great designs in the works, so please, to support this podcast, that's one of the easiest ways to do it. We're also on Etsy. Yeah, I know, Etsy. You can find our products on eBay as well. Storm King Mercantile is the name of the store there that fronts us. And there's many, many other ways to support this podcast, of course. We have a Patreon page, same thing, Two Grumpy Bastards. We certainly would appreciate you following us on Instagram. Most of you probably know we have a Facebook page, Two Grumpy Bastards Podcast. We have a lot of fun over there, a lot of frivolity, a lot of memes, and a lot of hard-hitting news, believe it or not. A lot of great people in that group. Also, all of the social media outlets, including now on TikTok. You can find us there. And one of the things that I really wanted to tell you is if you have any feedback for Russ, especially because he kind of sucks, feel free to email us at twogrumpybastards@gmail.com. That's the easiest way to get a hold of us, or you can always leave us a comment or an IM on, or DM, I should say. See, I'm so savvy. I'm so savvy. On our Facebook page. So we really appreciate you listening or watching us over there on YouTube as well. And we hope you do both, because Russ is something to look at. I said something. I didn't say something really great to look at. Anyway, thanks for listening. This is your intrepid, amazing, and grateful host of the Two Grumpy Bastards podcast, Coop. Remember, keep your focus and stay wokeless.